Hello, it's Dan Brandfast, and I'm talking to you from my office in Lenoir City, Tennessee. And this story has to do with what happened to me in 1988. I call this story, Dump It All on Me, Lord. And my disclaimer is any resemblance to the truth is purely coincidental. It was 1988. And I decided to purchase a new desktop copier. I wanted a good one, and I went to a local Sharp distributor to see what they had to offer. I met a young man there who was very nice. He was a good salesman, and he sold me on buying a small copier that was around $1,600. While talking to him, I determined that he owned a cash value life insurance policy. And the face amount was $100,000, and he was paying about $60 a month for the policy. And I was working with A.O. Williams at the time, and we specialized in replacing whole life insurance with term life insurance. And I was able to give my salesman more than double the coverage for less money monthly than he was spending. And we worked out a deal for the life insurance, and we also worked out a deal whereby I could pay a third down on the copier, and then a third in 45 days, and the balance in 90 days, and get same as cash. Now, he purchased the policy from me, and it was issued, and I delivered it to him in about 30 days. I was happy because my commission on the one policy covered one of the payments that I had to make on the copier. Now, once I made the last payment on that copier, a few days later I received notice from the company that the salesman had stopped paying on the insurance policy, and I was going to get a charge back on my commission. Well, I tried to call the guy, and he was always not available, and he wouldn't return my calls when I left messages. And about the third morning of trying to talk to him, I was at my office, and I was alone, and I was thinking. Now, we all know that thinking can get you in trouble. And I began to think, Dan, man, you are such a sucker. And the more I thought about it, the more discouraged, the more frustrated I became. All I can think of is the negatives of the situation. There's no recollection of any of the successes that I'd had in my life. And the more I thought, the more negatives entered my mind. And the more and more I thought about this chargeback, I really got discouraged. Discouraged to the point to where I felt bad. So I got out of the office, and I went and got in the car, and I was going to head to the house and tell my wife, Karen, that I was going to quit the sales business. I was going to find something that I could do that didn't make me feel like this, didn't make me feel bad, give me negative thoughts. Now imagine this. Now this is something that you need to imagine, you need to picture in your mind. But I'm now in my car driving away from the office, headed toward home to quit. Now what I'm fixing to tell you all occurred in probably less than 60 seconds, but it seemed like 10 minutes. I'd not driven more than 200 yards till a little voice that actually seemed audible to me. Now I know it wasn't audible, but it seemed audible. And it said, "Hey boy, where are you going?" Now, remember, this conversation I'm about to relate to you took split seconds to occur. I replied, I can't stand feeling this way. I can't stand the chargebacks and all the crap that goes along with my job. I'm going home to quit. Now, you may wonder who's talking to me. Well, I believe it was the Lord. I believe that He speaks to His people through their inner spirit, and this was what was going on at that time. And I hear it again. Going home to quit, huh? Well, I said, yeah, going home to quit. He now impresses me to look around and think. And so I began to look around. Here's what I saw. I'm driving a fairly new Cadillac Eldorado Baritz with a moonroof, stainless steel roof, two-tone paint, big chrome grille. It was 1988, and I had a big old mobile phone in the floorboard of the front. Had the big thing in the back of the trunk to make it work. I had on all store-bought clothes and mail-order shoes, and was driving to a new home that Karen and I had bought just a year or so before. Now you got to picture this, because just 6 years prior to this, my family car was a 1962 Studebaker Lark, and it wasn't an antique. My clothes were all bought in yard sales, and we lived in a $250 a month house. And I think this was the Lord's way of showing me and reminding me of where I was and where I am now. The big kicker is when He asked, "How much did you make last month, boy?" And it just so happened I'd made a little over $15,000 the prior month. 6 years prior, I was teaching full-time in a small Christian school. The family was living on $600 to $800 a month that I made part-time selling after school. I took no pay from the school and lived on what I made selling after school 4 days a week. And I had just made more money in 1 month than I was making in a year while teaching. After thinking about my income, my car, my clothes, my home, and especially the 15 grand I'd made this month, I asked the Lord, "What's going on? What's going on with this deal?" And His reply was very simple and to the point. You don't make the big money for handling the easy stuff. You make the big money handling the crappy stuff. I don't know whether the Lord talks that way, but that's the way I was thinking it. At this point, I thought for just a second, and I realized the lesson He was wanting me to learn. I looked up into the heavens, and I really did this, folks. I looked up, and out loud I said, "Okay, Lord, if that's the way it works, just dump some more crap on me." I turned my car around, I went back to the office, and never ever quit again. I found that this is the way it works. People see leaders making good money, having nice homes, and what they call the good life. The reality is leaders lead. And in leading, you face challenges and obstacles every day that others don't face. You have to handle many of the issues alone. And you must fight to keep a good attitude and not show hurt. And for this, there's a reward. You'll make more money, and you'll also learn to feel good every day once you learn that it's all about how you handle the crap. This is Dan. Have a good evening.